Hi everybody, hey, how's it going? All right, we're live. Welcome back to Taiwan Live TV. Thanks so much for joining. We're back in Hsinchu, in the area where I live. Now, before I do anything else, let me do this because I just want to make sure we are taking Skype calls, and I have a new addition here. It's hard to see because it's black all in front of me. This is actually it's a Xiaomi. It's really interesting. It's a Bluetooth speaker, and the whole top is a volume control that you can turn, and it really makes a huge difference. So when we take our Skype calls, Hoodoos, how you doing? Fist bump to you. Nice to see you. Thank you. So when we take your Skype calls tonight, they're going to be nice and loud on this speaker. Yeah, and so then I don't have to hold the phone up and stuff. Now, the other thing too is if you want to call on video, I can, hold the phone up like that. But that's our Skype ID, Taiwan Live TV. And I know I haven't been on for a while. Excuse me. I'm back in the, thank you. I'm back in the moderate 2.5 air quality here in Hsinchu, but it's okay. Now, we just came back from East Taiwan. The reason I haven't been on is we've been in East Taiwan and we've been traveling. Now, as you know, everybody knows, I am not a bachelor. I'm a married man and I have a 7-year-old daughter. And so being, a husband and a father, well, I can't just take off and do whatever I want to do. And I can't actually, act like I'm single. So whatever my wife and my daughter want to do, I'm pretty much game for it. But what that means a lot of times is I don't have some of the live streaming opportunities that I otherwise might have, but it's worth it, believe me. If you guys have seen my daughter, she's incredible. Anyway, I did do a single live stream from the coast in Hualien, and it was just really off the charts. And so I have tonight a couple videos and a number of photographs that I would like to share with you from East Taiwan. So, you didn't miss much. I only actually did, I'm going to take this off. I only actually did one live stream from the beach. It's hot here, and it wasn't that huge of a deal, but it did show the beauty of East Taiwan. And what I'd like to do now is, there's no time like the present. I don't see any point in, wasting any time. I want to show you a little video that I shot of East Taiwan. And what it is, I'm using my gimbal, and I shot this in 4K, 60 frames a second video. I start by looking away from the ocean, right? And going around, and yes, you're absolutely right, to the ocean. I know, and Jeff, you're so right about that. The other thing too is certain parts of that beach are so geologically new that they don't really have sand. It's all pebbles. And of course, my daughter Phoenix was just absolutely fascinated with the pebbles, and they look like spider webs. And gosh, I got some of my glasses. They even have like blue colored pebbles. It's just it's bizarre what they have. So let me show you that now because it's time for it. Good question. Actually, the entirety of Taiwan you could say is an earthquake area if you wanted to. But yeah, there are a lot more earthquakes over there in Hualien. So let me do this. I have everything already queued up. I have everything already entered into the system here. So let me show you the Hualien beach video first. Here we go. This is it. No sand. Now, you'll notice how steep the incline was. You know, you're looking at the ocean, and this incline was so steep. Excuse me. I mean, those waves were slamming in there, and they didn't go very far because the incline is like this. I had mentioned that on the live stream, and I was not able to actually show that, so I'm glad I got a chance to show that. Now, also in the same area, a little further north, I got one more picture from that particular place. Let me just make sure that I can find it here. It is, oh. When we were on our way there, we actually saw a rainbow in a cloud. Do you see that? Do you see that little rainbow in the center of the cloud? My little 7-year-old noticed that. She said, "Papa, look, there's a rainbow." I'm like, it's not raining. She said, "No, look up." That rainbow appeared in the cloud. You see that right in the center of the picture? Let me see if I can do this a little bit. You see how there's like colors there? That was just, for me, just astonishing. So, yeah, I think that's about right, Jeff. I think that's about right. Because, I mean, it goes just like boom. Now, this is one of 3 of Taiwan's Tropic of Cancer markers. Because Taiwan sits on the Tropic of Cancer. Now, the funny thing is the Tropic of Cancer moves around all the time. So, you know, if you use your GPS and you check it, it looks like it's off. But due to the wobble of the earth and so forth. But this is a marker. Now, let me tell you what happened. I got a little mad because I was standing in front of the marker and I was doing what everybody does, except I wasn't taking a selfie. I was taking, you know, a picture of the ocean and stuff from that marker. And a guy said to me, "Hello, sir," in English, which I hate. We're in Taiwan. And I turned around and I went, "Yeah." And he said, "Could you move?" No. I'm taking pictures. You have to wait. Can you believe that? I should have said, 这里是台湾. 台湾人排队. This is Taiwan, and Taiwan, we line up or we take our turn. So amazing. So, you know what I did? I held up my camera, and I don't like selfies, and I took a selfie just to make the point. Ugh. So then we went to the Hualien, what they call it in English, the Far Glory park. It's not really a water park, but it's an ocean park. And we were up in the gondola. Now look at this, because my Xiaomi 9T Pro has this amazing wide-angle lens. Look at the picture that I took from the gondola, and you can see the Ferris wheel down there, all the way down to the ocean, and it is just, I mean, the water is just unbelievable. I can't, yeah, it really, really is. But it was hot. Let me tell you, I have, you know, I carry a water bottle with a flip-up nozzle on it, you know, and I drank 4, it holds a liter. I drank 4 of those in that day. It was hot. And I wore my mask. I'm surprised I don't have a mask like, you know, a tan line. Now, for those of you who just joined, we're recapping my recent trip of my family to the East Coast. But you're welcome to call us here. This is our Skype. Yeah, I know. This is our Skype line, and we have our Bluetooth speaker. It's turned on 10, and so feel free to join us and you know, ask us whatever you want. We're out here in the open. We've got a really, really good signal tonight. So, hey, Ken Rod, fist bump to you too. Yeah, thank you so much. And you know, Jeff, I'm sorry, I didn't give you a fist bump too, man. So no offense. All right, so let's get into the rest of our trip. Now, I showed you all of that stuff, like I showed you the rainbow, and I showed you the tropic cancer marker, I showed you the Hualien Beach video, and I showed you the picture from the gondola. Then we went up to Ilan, which is further up the coast on Taiwan. You can just find all this stuff on the map. We were in Hualien, and it shows it in English in Google Maps. We went up to Ilan, and we took a boat ride, and we went by this island that they call Turtle Island. The reason they call it Turtle Island is because there's like a humped back, and then the island goes down like this, and then there's a protuberance that comes up that looks exactly like the head of a turtle when it's basking or coming up to the surface. You know how the turtles will go like this and they'll stick their nose up so they can breathe. So let me show you a video of us going by the head of the turtle here in Turtle Island.
那我们可以走的下方就有1日流亡长城，总共有30几度的流亡长城口，喷出来的温度可以高达到116度。不过它跟大面积海水混合的时候，有达到26度到27度之间，温度还好不会太高。不过它喷出来就浮游在水里面，呈现的就是一个乳白色的颜色跟淡蓝色海域，看起来就跟牛奶一样，我们都把它称为牛奶湖或者是牛奶海啊。那有时候东边西边看起来就有点像上帝所遗留下来的角色嘛。
All right, now, in case you're wondering, it's kind of old now, I own a Xeon Smooth 3 gimbal. It comes with an app. They finally updated the app so I can record 4K 30 frames. I can't record 4K 60 frames, but oh, I know. But the good part about it is, it's a small place. I mean, seriously, it does look like a turtle, doesn't it? I mean, this seriously is a small place. I mean, people joke about Americans. The vast majority of Americans have not left America, but it's because America's so big. You could travel your whole life and never leave there. You know, I mean, look at the state of Texas, Ken. I'll bet you know people that have never left Texas, because it's hours to drive to get out of there. So, yeah, well, now you can't. I understand. That's true. But this is one country, so it's not different states that have different rules. But we were wearing our masks everywhere, you know, and so yeah. But let me show you some more of this beautiful scenery. And we were on a quote-unquote whale watch. Now, we didn't go out that far. My wife was kind of mad because last time she went on a whale watch, I mean, they saw sperm whales and other species of, you know, blue water whales. See, in New England, right, we'll go out, you know, 6 miles and we'll see, you know, 20 or 30 humpback whales. I go fishing, I see humpback whales, and they know what you're there for. They come up to the side of the boat and they flap their flippers and stuff, and they turn upside down and they show their white belly and stuff. They ham it up. But here we didn't go out that far, so we didn't see whales. We saw dolphins. So yeah, exactly. So I know sometimes people are hard on Americans, and sometimes I am too, when I find ignorant ones. But yeah, I mean, seriously, I think I've only been in like maybe 15 states, and there's a whole lot more, and I'm never going to get to them all. I remember I met a guy who played in a cover band. He's played in all 50 states, but it took him like 10 years to do it. So it's a big place, you know. Taiwan is small, and we talked about Taiwan is basically the size of Massachusetts and Connecticut put together. So when I drove the car, what we did is if you look at Taiwan, it's kind of like a banana. We live like up here. We drove around to Hualien, which is in the middle of the East Coast, and then we went there first, and then when we went north, so then we didn't have that much of a trip coming back. That's how you do it. You do the long leg of the trip first. If you do the long leg of the trip last, you're going to play Russian roulette before the end of the day. You're going to be so out of it. So let me show you some more pictures going by the island. Now this is the island from the other side. And if you look at the right-hand side, that's the head of the turtle, you see. Okay, now, this is a close-up of the turtle head. And that is a huge slope, but it is, in fact, covered with vegetation. And those apparently are small trees. I haven't been on the island. You can go on the island. Now this is a pulling back a little bit in the boat. You can see more of the island. And this is the side of the island. Doesn't it look cool? This is the side of the island that you can see from the east coast and the north when you look at it. If you guys want to search on Google, search Turtle Island, and on Google Maps too, search Turtle Island, and you can go on it. There are some buildings there. There are some military habitations there, and there's even a lagoon. I'm not sure if it's good for swimming, but there's an interesting lagoon in the center that's full of seawater. Looks pretty calm. All right, now just some more shots of it. As we were pulling away in the boat, you know, you can see more of the turtle shape, but that section on the left is closer to us, so it's a little bit out of proportion. When you view the thing from the distance, it really, really, really does look like a turtle. So there's a real good profile shot. It doesn't show the hump of the turtle's back, but you can see how if you saw that thing from 20 kilometers away, especially the prominence on the top, on the upper right, that does look like the tip of a turtle's nose surfacing. It's really, really amazing. So, no, it's not part of a national park, but it's part of the Elan recreational area. Now, these are some privately owned Taiwanese boats, and I took this picture, and I chose this picture to show you tonight because I want you to see how beautiful the water is. In this particular section, it's actually so shallow that you can see people there, like, splashing around. See, guy's got an oar. I think he's probably got a sea kayak. I don't know. I wasn't that close. This is all, of course, digital zoom, and so it's a little bit blurry, but that's, I mean, what a beautiful catamaran boat. Yeah, somebody's got a little cache there, man. That is cool. And so let me show you what it looked like on the whale watch. Now these are some of the boats. Now the aspect ratio on these pictures, it is beautiful, isn't it? This is Pacific Blue Ocean water. There were 3 boats, our boat, the one we're on, and the other 2. And we're not that far away. That's Turtle Island in the back, and you're looking directly at the head of the turtle, so that's why you can't see it. If you see what I'm saying, it just blends in with the hump on the back of the turtle. But we're not out that far. But the other thing too is it kind of fools you how far you are out, because that's not the horizon. Those are mountains back there, and those mountains are really high. I mean, those mountains are like maybe 2,500 meters high. They're up there. And so we are out a little further than what people think. I mean, I wouldn't want to fall overboard. But the water is beautiful blue, and it's actually very clear. Now, let me say something. Everything in Taiwan is loud. Everything in Asia is loud. And they did this in America too. I took my wife on a whale watch back in 2010, and we must have seen 50 whales. I photographed it back then. I videoed it back then in digital video with a glide cam. But they all have, you know, an oceanographer on board, and they're talking the whole time, and you just want to tell them to shut up. And so this guy's got a wireless mic, and it's worse than karaoke. It's turned on 10. So in one of the videos that I'm going to play, you can hear me say stuff like, "You need to be quiet. You're scaring the wildlife away." But this is how it is here. And so in a minute, I'll show you a video, and one of the dolphins breaches, and in Chinese is like, "Hey, look at that!" And I'm like, you know, it's like Sam Kinison telling you, he just scared everybody, you know, on that side of the planet. So I'm saying, oh, will you stop it? I mean, I didn't. I was good. I didn't. I wanted to tell the guy, would you please just not talk? Because sometimes when I'm in areas like where we're camping, I want to hear the crickets. I want to hear the crackle of the campfire. But what I hear next door is some guy with an echo mic going, 我一个美女的小女孩, singing karaoke, and it's like, I don't want to hear that. All right, so let's go ahead and, well, I picked my teeth here. Sorry. Let's go ahead and show you the video of the whale watch where we see some dolphins, and kind of look in the center, sort of to the upper center of the video, because it's actually near the bow of the boat. Oh, I hate that. And you know something, T? I know that you have a personal connection with national parks, and you would know, but they gotta stop doing that. Oh. Yeah, well, you know, you can't eat just one. All right, so here you go, including my commentary for whatever it's worth.
现在这边呢，代表着附近还有想要吃的食物，还有吃花枝啊、青鱼啊。
Look how far that boat is listing to starboard, because everybody's on that side of the boat.
看一下我们右手边那个船头有没有？哦，那个船的船头有海豚在那边，有没有？它在礼堂机的感觉有没有？哎，非常可爱。它的海豚呢，很喜欢在船头。旋转机圈半哦，还有这个海上芭蕾舞者就是这种哇，非常厉害哦。超强的海豚哦，旋转机圈半，大家都。
No wonder they're running away. They're yelling. Yeah, no wonder the dolphins are running away.
好，来，现在在我们的船头，哇，右手边游来游去，有没有？是两艘船的船头这边，游来游去。哦，现在在这个龟山庄绕的水下，哦，非常厉害，等一下会游过来，游来游去，两个船头这边转来转去，他很骄傲的，有没有看到？他很喜欢秀，哦，喜欢就是说在船头这边哦，让大家看他的表演，非常的聪明。那这边哦，海豚呢，它游的速度很快。它游的速度可以高达到5、60、70公里左右哦，那我们船最快的话30公里，所以它速度比我们快。那不用担心我们撞到它，因为它有很强的回应定位系统哦，很强的回应定位系统。好啦，现在就在我们的右手边，龟山朝日号。那这种海豚呢，也是以它一只怀孕，然后种孕哦，那它的寿命约莫30岁，那它一天可以吃到13斤的鱼类哦，所以渔民早期就喜欢它哦，喜欢把它捕来吃。那现在列为保育类的，应该这样会越多，因为吃一只要30万，罚款哦，非常贵哦，所以呢，现在就不能再吃了哦 ，OK。那现在下线招待一下。
看好看满，拍好拍满。那因为龟山岛呢，它是台湾3大渔场，多数是2个洋流交汇，那2个洋流呢，一个叫龟潮。
All right, now, what I can do is I can play that video again and turn the sound completely off if you want, because it's considerably more enjoyable. But when that one dolphin breached, if you really saw that up close, that was something. Now, hey Mike, how you doing? Nice to have you with us. Fist bump to you too. Nice to see you. What I started to say before, and it's okay because you guys interrupt me with the live comments. That's fine. I use the Xeon Smooth 3, and what I did was I used that app to photograph, to take photos, excuse me, and videos, because I wanted them as smooth as I could get. Now, for some strange reason, now I updated the firmware recently on the gimbal, and I checked the calibration and it was dead on, but for some reason the horizon and the gimbal are a little bit off, and it's kind of annoying because it should be, I mean, it's supposed to be level, the horizon, even though it's curvature of the earth. I mean, at that small radius, it should, for all intents and purposes, just be flat. But let me see. I think that, in fact, is everything that there is to see that I have prepared for my East Taiwan trip. So, I want to thank you for indulging me in that. So, now we have a reasonably good number of Periscope viewers this evening, and I would like to invite those of you who are watching on Periscope, feel free to make a comment. I mean, so many people, so many views, so from on Taiwan Live TV. Now, it says my internet connection is unstable, and I don't believe that because I'm out. I mean, I'm out in the open. Oh, sure. Thank you, Ken. I appreciate it. One of the things that I didn't do, and if you give me a second, I could do it. Yeah, it's weird. It should be okay now. It said it was unstable for a second, but now it's straightened out. So, what I didn't prepare, and I certainly can. Let me just do this real quick. I think what I want to do is, let me see if I can show you. I want to show you the hot springs room that I stayed in, if I can find the photos. They're going to be before this. I'm sorry, just bear with me for a second. I should have done this earlier, but I forgot. I got sidetracked. Let me go ahead. I'm gonna show you what our hot springs room looks like, and then I'll show you the downtown area. Okay? So I just added these photos. Now, this is the hot springs hot tub. Oh, did Dave come in? Oh, I didn't see. Hey, Dave, if you came in and want to say hi, that's the hot springs tub. And if you look to the left, that's one of the. This is the toilet and everything. Everything made in the restroom is by Toto, and which is funny because Phoenix loves the band Toto. Dave, how you doing, bro? Nice to see you. Fist bump to you. But this is that's one of those. It really, really is nice, and I don't know. You really can't tell because of the scale, but I can lay down in that tub completely from head to foot, and my foot doesn't touch the step that helps you get in. And even the cold water is hot springs. Now, the other interesting thing is that when you look at this picture, you'll notice there's kind of a stainless steel ladder to the right that helps you get out. And then there's a clear shower stall. See, Taiwan is so upscale. People don't realize it. It's not China. I mean, I was in China in a hotel, and I turned on the hot water, and rust came out. I had to let the water run for 10 minutes before it turned white again and clear again, instead of being that stupid, orange colored rust. I didn't want to take a bath in that, And so this is a vertical picture of the shower. Let me just move this over here. And I'll just do this to make it, yeah. And so so the shower is very upscale. But the cool part about it is the shower water in the shower itself is hot springs, even the cold. See, Elon has hot springs and cold springs. And this is a shot of the main part of the room. And then with the hot springs, and the restroom in the back. So it's a bathroom, and there are translucent doors. And if you look, well, you can't really see, but they have Roman shades over the doors, so you can just pull them down and get privacy. But I mean, if you're like husband and wife, who cares? So, but yeah, that was so cool, and that was a really, really nice room. And this is what one of the shots on the street looked like. It really, really is. And this room was, you're talking like $120 a night for something like that. Jay boy, how you doing? Hey, nice to have you with us. Fist bump to you, man. You're talking like $120, for a room like that, and it includes breakfast in the morning, and it's a 5-star hotel. It's an international hotel. They cater to Japanese, Korean, Chinese, and of course, local people. They've got, currency exchanges for US dollar, Japanese yen, and RMB from China. So it's amazing. This is a shot of like one of the walking streets, and it's just little shop after shop after shop. Now, I suppose I could have live streamed some of this. But I'm going to tell you, as interesting as it is, with regards to the stuff that you have seen me do in the past, it really wasn't all that big of a deal. You guys would have kind of looked at it and kind of went, okay, yeah. It's sort of a night market, sort of not. And I was really concentrating on just spending time with with my wife and my daughter, and the more I thought about it, I could have gone out later, after they went to sleep, and done a live stream, but then I would have came back in the room and woke them up, and so I just said, nah, you know what? But I took some pictures. I took pictures and I took videos of things, so forth, and that's what I wanted to do. Was I wanted to share that right here because I think it's better. I mean, it really doesn't matter in some cases if I live stream something, or I do a show and I recap the things. You know what I'm saying? Because like when you were watching those videos a moment ago, it's just like you were there, and you can comment it now on the live stream. That's what's so amazing about Prism, Prism Live is just so incredible because it has this capability. Now, I really want to reiterate, we have our Skype lines open, Taiwan Live TV, and I've got a new addition here with my jet black Xiaomi. You can see the little dot here blinking there you go, when it decides to blink. And so this is a Bluetooth speaker. It's really cool because it has a volume control on the top. Makes it really, really easy. So tonight, if you want to give us a call here on late night, we're going to be blasting on the Bluetooth speaker. It's going to be a lot easier for everybody to hear. And the Bluetooth speaker also has its own microphone because it does take phone calls, which is really, really cool. So, I wish I had a long bumper, but I don't. This is the only bumper I got.
Hi, this is Dave in Osaka, live from Greenland, and you're watching Taiwan Live TV with MJ Klein.
And I'm going to tell you, there's no place that I can go that's ever going to top Dave going to Greenland. And then on top of that, North Korea, more than once. See, I'm not allowed to go. Isn't it? I'm not allowed to go to North Korea because I have a U.S. passport. I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm not allowed to go. I'm not allowed to go to Cuba. it's okay if they don't know about it, but I'm technically not allowed to. Now, the fact that I live in Taiwan, Taiwanese go to Cuba all the time, and we have Cuban cigars here. There's no embargo or sanctions and stuff here from Taiwan. So the Cowboy Bar that I scoped 2 weeks ago, they have a wide variety of Cuban cigars, and back when I used to smoke, I was in cigar heaven. So, humanitarian work. Yeah, I guess, I don't know, what would I do, call myself a missionary or something? I mean, maybe I could do that. But as far as going to Cuba, actually my friend John went there because he was working on a documentary film, so he got what was called a cultural visa, and the U.S. State Department recognized that. But what a lot of countries do is they recognize that if they put their stamp in the passport of certain countries' nationals, it can get them in trouble, so they don't do it. So, for example, if I really wanted to go to Cuba, which, to be honest with you, I would love to go to Cuba, I could go from Taiwan and not like transit to the U.S., and they just wouldn't stamp my passport, and they wouldn't scan it so it put the data into the chip. So, yeah. Well, I'm not known as a filmmaker. That's the thing. I know what you mean. I mean, if I could, under somebody else's, that's a good idea. Under somebody else's license, I guess, if you will, yeah. I could maybe do that, but not on my own. I don't have the press or the film credentials, CAS or ACE or any of that stuff. I'm audio, so it would be, like AES, but not those other things. But I'm probably not going to go there anyway. I just too busy, and now's not the time. I'm scared to death to go outside of Taiwan, to be perfectly honest with you, because I don't want to transfer or transit into any other airport. I mean, can you imagine? Some dear friends of mine here in Taiwan had to go back to the States. The husband, his mother, she's in a home, and she's in assisted living, and she needed some assistance. They needed to make some new arrangements, and he's the only one that can do it, and he lives in Taiwan. And so they went back to the States, and it's in California, which now is the new epicenter, and it's just, I'm scared to death for them. They're coming back soon. They're going to have to do the 14-day quarantine, but you better believe that they're walking around, with their mask on, and probably what they did was they probably took a caulking gun and put some RTV around there, and stuck that sucker on so, it never comes off. Because, okay, thanks, T. Seriously, I mean, that's pretty much what you have to do, is not take it off. Now, the federal government here in Taiwan has re-implemented some measures because we are expecting a resurgence. There are 2 very mysterious cases of COVID-19. One of them was, actually there were 3, but one's been eliminated. A Thai national went back to Thailand and tested positive, but he was asymptomatic here in Taiwan. And a Japanese engineer worked in Taipei for a month and then went back. Dean, how you doing? Fist bump to you. Then went back to Japan, and of course, anybody who comes into the country has to get checked. He got tested. He tested positive for COVID-19, and he's completely asymptomatic even now. And so now people are wondering, wow, he's asymptomatic, but he can still be communicable. He can still transmit the disease. And so I read the Taiwan CDC, I'm going to say 192. Anyway, it's a significant number of people that they have contacted that they have known to have been in contact with him, and none of them test positive. They don't have any antibodies or nothing. So we don't know what's going on with that. But I did read a report over a week ago that one epidemiologist, people who supposedly know about this stuff, said that there are between 300 and 600 completely asymptomatic carriers in Taiwan. And I'm reading this on my phone. And as I'm reading it on my phone, I'm going like this, I'm going, okay. 300 to 600 asymptomatic carriers. Do you remember when people were laughing? Remember 4 or 5 months ago, I was showing up on stream. People would laugh. Not anymore. So, Director of Health and Welfare is here in Taiwan, and you should see the tweets he's getting. Hey, ask Taiwan about this. Hey, ask Taiwan about that. The main thing that he needs to take home is how to do the single-payer national health care plan, because the United States is ridiculous. I was sick for years in the U.S. and could not afford health care. I looked out the window. Literally, I remember thinking, I'm young. This is the time I should be earning money so I can live off it later in life. But I can't work because I'm so injured and so hurt. This is gonna hurt me in the long run. And I remember looking out the window thinking, well, there isn't anything I can do about it. Well, I had the operation on my thumb, $10. I've had laser surgery on both eyes, $10. You can read about this on my blog. I had all the symptoms of a detached retina, where nobody scans like this with their eyes. You go like this from one thing to another. And every time I did, I got kind of a flash. And I noticed that across the field of my vision, it looked like it was cracked or something. It's hard to describe. It looked like it was cracked. And so I looked up the symptoms, and I got really scared. I said, oh no, because a detached retina is a medical emergency. You can lose your sight very quickly. Well, I didn't have anybody to drive me, so I drove myself, and I was very careful about doing jerky eye movements all the way there. I went to the hospital. They said the optometrist will be in at 7. This is like 3 a.m. I just sat there and waited. And so the optometrist checked me. She was really good. She put the drops in my eyes to dilate, and she checked both eyes and used the slit lamp. I don't know if you guys ever had that, but they actually put like a glass lens right against, the eyeball. They have to use a mild anesthetic on the eyeball because it hurts like crazy. And she said that she didn't see anything wrong per se, but that there could be some future issues with my retina. But she said just monitor it, and if it changes, come back. And so that was on a Friday. Saturday morning, I had a mass ejection in the what do they call it? I forget it, the fluid in your eye, aqueous humor. And all of a sudden, I had like a billion little black dots. When I went out into the sun, and the sun is, on my face, all of a sudden it was foggy. I'd have to go like this because the sun illuminated all these little black dots inside my eye. This is my right eye. It was amazing. I'm walking around going like this, because I couldn't see. So I waited to see what happened. I went through Saturday, went through Sunday. And Monday morning I went back, and I said I had this mass ejection, and there's like strings and all kinds of stuff in there. And she said, what I've noticed, she examined me again. And she said, what I noticed this time is it seems like you have some abrasion on your retina. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that, bud. You know what I hate about funerals? I hate funerals for one reason. Because the preacher always talks about death, but they never talk about the resurrection. They never give you hope for the future. They only talk about the person being gone. So, feel your pain. Sorry about that. There's good news in there too. Coco, how you doing? Thank you so much. Nice to have you with us. I'm giving you a fist bump too. Because you're one of my bros too, even though you're what would technically be the term bro-et? I don't know. Thank you. Nice to see you. Always a pleasure. So I was just telling about my my eye thing, and because this all came up about talking about healthcare and about the director. It's not ministers, and I want to say the minister, but U.S. doesn't have ministers. The director of health and welfare is here in Taiwan. He met with the president today. But so the doctor, you know, she took it seriously, and she looked at my eye, and she said, I see what looks like abrasions. Because what happens, a lot of people don't know this. The fluid in your eye, it's supposed to be completely clear, or else you couldn't see through it, right? But it's filled with fluid, but it's actually a jelly. As you get older, it starts to liquefy. It's not supposed to. But imagine you've got a ball of sticky jelly inside your eyeball. Now, instead of being completely full of jelly that you can move around, do whatever you want, and it stays contiguous, now the outside is wet. And now the ball is smaller than the diameter of the inside of the eyeball, and it rolls around, and it's sticky. So what it does sometimes is it sticks against the retina and pulls it off. Growing old sucks. I recommend that you not do it. So here's what happened. She said, I see some abrasion, and she's talking about, you know, the fact that the jelly is sticking. And I said, what do we do? She says, well, I want to use the laser. And she describes this process. It's exactly like tack welding. It's so cool. She wants to take the laser and just go zap, 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 zap around these areas that look like they're abraded, and kind of tack weld them to the back surface of the eyeball so it doesn't pull away. So I said, okay, fantastic. Just give me the schedule, you know, when to come back. The doctor took me by the hand, and she lifts me up. I'm like, yeah. She takes me to the next room, opens the door, and said, would you please sit down? And she said, nurse. And the nurse came over and put the strap around my head, and I'm up against, you know, my forehead is up against the stop, and then they're, you know, raising the thing up for my chin, and I realized this is the laser machine. She's going to do it right this second. I was like, I wasn't expecting that. This is Taiwan. This is Taiwan's healthcare system for you. So she says to me in Chinese, it's going to feel hot. I'm like, how? Okay. So somebody asked me, what's it like getting like laser surgery on your eye? And I told him it's like trying to look at God. It's so bright you can't stand it, but you cannot get away from it. It's overwhelming. And she shot about 40 times at least. And for the first time in my life, I actually felt the inside of my eyeball. See, we don't feel these things, right? Like if somebody said, what does the inside of your intestine feel like? I don't know. I know what like the skin on my hand or my face feels like, but in like, I can't like feel my liver, you know, I can't like feel my spleen or my gallbladder or pancreas or nothing. I never felt the inside of my eyeball until they shot this laser in it, and I'm like, that was the weirdest sensation. And she's telling, don't move, don't move, don't move. And your eyes are, open like this, and your head is against this bumper, and they got a strap, and the nurse was like, holding my head, and I'm in the chin strap, and I got my eyes open, and she's going like, welcome back, T, what a time to come back. And she would fire like 4 or 5 and then take a break. Thank goodness. She knows. She knew. Because you can't take it anymore. It is hot inside your eyeball. It's just such a weird feeling to feel a sensation in a part of your body that you never have before, Even a headache you can understand. Oh, I got a headache and it feels like it's in my brain. That's okay. But when's the last time you got a liver ache? Or, what's your pancreas feel like? I don't know. I could have cancer, so. Thank you. That's about it. That's about it. Well, I mean, no man has seen God at any time. There's a reason for it. Just the majesty would burn you to a crisp, right? We're talking about the person that created all the stars and the sun. So even just looking at the sun will make you blind. So do the math. So, I was blown away. Now, the interesting thing is, it's a green laser, and it's very clearly green when it completely irradiates and obliterates, your vision. And you have 2 eyes. So they're shooting one, but your other eye can see stuff. And sometimes you want somebody, is moving or something, and you want to look, but you realize I have to completely ignore what's in that other eye, because if I move and she goes zap, and it's, oh, you hit the wrong thing. It took a lot of concentration. What I did was I eventually just closed my other eye. Now, I've had it on both eyes, so the second time I went, I was a little better prepared, and I closed the other eye. But my goodness, it was green. So the interesting thing about human vision and what we call persistence, everybody knows that if you get some kind of a flash, what you see is the opposite color. When she was done, I opened my eyes. It was the most magnificent color of purple I have ever seen in my life. I actually did close the other eye just so I could dig on this purple, man. It was out of focus. It was all messed up. But I'm like, whoa, man. It's like I didn't even take any drugs, and I got like this trip going on. It's like, wow. Of course, I didn't drive. It was amazing. And it took about a good between 20 and 30 minutes for it to return to normal. And the next day, it was amazing. I had none of those sensations, of the field of vision splitting or cracking or anything like that. In addition to that, I was asking her about the ejection, the material, this black stuff that shot itself into my eye from somewhere, and all the little dots. And she said, your body will absorb it, and it did. And I noticed even now, that was like 6 or 7 years, at least 6 years ago. Every once in a while, I'll notice I'll have a little kind of a floater, but I won't even think about it, because in a couple weeks it's gone again. So it's remarkable how, the human body is made, and how these things can work out. I do know some people that have floaters. It's very difficult for them, but I'm fortunate that for some reason mine seem to be reabsorbed. I've had floaters in both eyes, but my vision is so good that I was sitting in my wife's sister's car down in Kaohsiung. We went to Kaohsiung before we went to East Taiwan, and we were looking into the harbor. Yes, into the harbor. And this was more than 1.5 kilometers, more than a mile away. And I read there were 2 words on the name of the ship. And I was able, with my eyes, sitting in the car, looking through the dirty windshield, over a mile, was able to read the second word. The first word was slightly obliterated. And I used my mobile phone and blew it up, and I found out, you know, the second name. But I mean, my wife's sister was astonished. She said, I can't even see that there's a name on the boat. But the correction that I have with these glasses, and I've had these glasses about 6 years. These glasses are so old they're broken. I like the nose piece on that, it broke. See, I don't even have a nose piece on that. See, I got to go to the frame shop and find new frames, and they're going to want me to get another prescription. I'm going to tell them no, I don't need it. But with this prescription, my vision is exceptionally good. Like all these signs all the way down the street in Chinese, I can read them all, every single one of them, and they're quite far away. And I attribute this to the Taiwan National Healthcare System. So I hope that while this director, right, is so, yeah, well, you know what I did? I robbed a nose piece from one of my older pairs of glasses. But it was an older pair, and so it was already half deteriorated. But yeah, I can. Yeah. The thing is, though, this material is titanium. Titanium is finicky. You got to be careful. It's supposed to be flexible and all this other stuff, but you can break it. Like these are the ones that have no hinge, right? But I've broken 3 of them, and I asked them, there's no hinge. If it's going to break, why didn't you put a hinge on it? I said, I don't know. See, I don't know. You think I look better without them? I don't know. I think either way, it's like a prom dress on a pig. It's gilding the lily. I don't think it makes any difference. These glasses are so, you know, there's no outer rim to them. Some people don't even notice that I actually have glasses on. So, my glasses broke, and I put one of my old pairs on that has the outer frame. They're like, "You're wearing glasses?" Yeah, I always wear glasses. Really? They never notice because they're almost not there. So, yeah, gilding the lily. I don't think it makes any difference. It's like I told you guys. I went to get my hair cut, and they said, "How do you want your hair cut?" I go, "I don't know. I don't look at it." So she says, "Well, don't worry. I'll make you real handsome." I go, "No, I don't need that kind of trouble. I'm married." Tone it down. That was a fun conversation to have in Chinese, trust me. I go to the hair shop, and when I leave, it's like, you know, I should have charged the cover charge, because it's nonstop comedy. From the time I go in there, I go, "Oh, look, it's wintertime." Why? So it's snowing, and I cut my hair. It's funny. So, oh, 你看，是冬天. Oh, look, it's winter. 为什么？下水. Why? Because it's snowing. So, anyway, I guess these jokes are getting kind of old. So I heard a joke today. I love jokes, so. Ken Rod, thanks for sticking around. We'll see you. Thank you so much. Now I heard a joke today. And I want to tell it. There's a couple of guys. They work in a factory, and they're let's just say they're a little below average. Okay. So let's just call them John and Joe. And they're looking at the supervisor up in the office. And they're wondering, you know, so John's like, "Hey, Joe, how come he gets to sit up there and we're down here and we're working in the, you know, on the assembly line?" So John's like, I don't know, man. Why don't you go ask him? He says, okay, I'm going to do that. So he goes up, he knocks on the door, says, sir, can I ask you something? He says, yeah. How come you're up here as a supervisor and we're down there working on the assembly line? He says, all right, I'll tell you why. And he says, hit my hand. Oh, no, you're a supervisor. I can't hit your hand. He says, I'm ordering you to hit my hand. So Joe takes a swing and he goes like this and boom, he hits the wall. He goes, ow, he goes, ow. Ah, this is, that's why I'm up here and you're down there. So he goes back down and talks to John. And John says, so what did he say? And Joe says, well, let me put it to you this way. All right, look. Hit my hand. Delay. Crickets. Delay. If you want to come on and tell a joke, give us a call here at Taiwan Live TV. T, you have to have some good jokes. I know you do because you are a hilarious person. Hit my hand. Hit my hand. Yeah, that's amazing. So there are people like that. Now, when we were kids, this is bad. Okay, this is bad. I will say this. When we were kids, my sisters and I, this is before my brother was born, we used to like to trick the garbage man. This is so bad. I mean, I know I'm stereotyping people. But we used to ask the garbage man riddles just to see what he would say. And the only one that I remember is we said, yeah, you said it out loud. I know what you mean. That's what I wanted to do too. So we, as kids, right? We see the garbage man when he comes by, and we're like, hi. And always this is the '60s, okay? It's a different world. The garbage man always hi. So we would say, how are you? And blah blah blah. So we went up to him one day. We said, we want to ask you a question. He's dumping the trash in the truck. He says, what? And we said, what weighs more, a pound of feathers or a pound of lead? And he goes, a pound of lead. And we said, no, they're both a pound. They weigh the same. And he said, you try it and you'll see. I swear. I could call my sister on Skype right now and she would remember this. I probably should. Oh my goodness. But back in those days, they did stuff. I'm going to tell you two things that if they did nowadays, these people would have went to jail. They were doing some kind of work. Now, I don't remember what it was, because I was like probably in the 5th grade or the 4th grade, and this work crew came and they were melting lead. They were using molten lead to do something, like to seal a pipe or something. I don't know what it was. And we're watching them work. And so, whenever they're doing this kind of work, they melt a certain amount of material in the crucible. And of course, you can never estimate exactly how much material you need. So there's always some left over, right? And so what they do is they just dump it. So he took a ladle full of molten lead and poured it out on the street into a puddle. And he said, when that cools down, you kids can take that home. I'm 8 years old. I waited a minute. It's got to be cool by now. I burned the ever-loving crap out of my finger. It's a good thing I didn't grab it and touch it, because I'll tell you what, you wouldn't be getting any guitar solos. Yeah. Out of this guy on this channel, if I'd done that, I went like this, and smoke come off my finger, you know, and of course it's lead, so that explains a lot. So we went away and we came back later, and it's, you know, it's solidified. Yeah, no kidding. And we picked it up, we pried it off the street. And for something like, I don't know, the next 4 years, this big piece of, you know, poisonous, destroyed the Roman Empire, yeah, no kidding, stuff was part of our regular play thing. You know, we used to scratch it and say, oh wow, it's really soft, you can scratch it. It's like, I used to play with mercury too, you know, put mercury. It's like, whoa, look at this. This is really cool. It all disappeared. Oh, I don't know where it went. It went in my skin. Again, it explains a lot. So, the second thing that you could never do today is this. When I was about 17, I know, all my dad's friends were photographers. See, my dad worked for Honeywell, and Honeywell had a cooperation with Asahi, you know, the Japanese lens company. They're all, Asahi Pentax is the real company name, so everybody knows Pentax. So, yeah, I know. But that wasn't science class. That was just Honeywell. I mean, I went to Honeywell and they had a bottle of mercury like this big. The thing, I could almost like not even take it off the shelf. Dad, can I play with this? Yeah. I would just unscrew the cap and just, you know, pour it in my hand. Yeah, no kidding. No, I'm serious. Well, because they use it in instruments and stuff, and they have to be able to refill the instruments. So when I was 17, like all my dad's friends, see, this is amazing. I was telling my family today, my mother's friends were worthless. There was only one of my mother's friends that I ever learned anything from, and her name is Mrs. McMahon. She taught me how to play drums, and she was very kind and very good to me. The rest of my mother's friends were trash. My dad's friends were all like scientists, you know, and engineers and stuff. So they kind of took up a collection. One guy said, hey, I got a photo enlarger I'm not using. Another guy said, oh, I got a couple development tanks I'm not using. Oh, I got some trays and tweezers and tongs and all this stuff. And all of a sudden one day my dad comes home with a box. Here, son, here's a dark room. Whoa, that was so cool. So when I was 17, I mean, I put up a little curtain in the kitchen and turned the red light on. And they also gave me like a used camera. It wasn't an SLR, but it was a viewfinder camera. But I didn't care. I was 17 years old. I was in high school. I shot Foghat and Edgar Winter, and I can't tell you how many other bands I shot. And I brought the film home, developed it myself, printed, you know, 8x10 prints, and took them to school and sold them, man. This is what I was doing in high school. So fairly quickly over the summer, between the 11th grade and the 12th grade, excuse me, between the 10th grade and the 11th grade, I got really adept at using the darkroom. So then, I'm in 11th grade, and one of the teachers was a photographer on the side. He was a teacher, but he was also a pro-level photographer. He would do model work, he would do print work and stuff, in addition to being a teacher. Excuse me. And he approached the management of the school and wanted to offer a photography course. And they said yes. And so I enrolled in the photography course. I got to know this teacher very well, and he trusted me. I'm not even going to mention, I'm not going to tell you this guy's name. I don't know if he's still alive or not. And you'll know why in a second. So, I got really good in the dark room. I was very reliable and very dependable. I never messed up a roll of film. You know, I was very meticulous. I would watch the timing. I was meticulous with my chemicals. So he started bringing his model work to me at the school, in the school darkroom. So sometimes during the time when he was teaching the class, because he knew I was an advanced student, he said, Klein, do these 3 rolls for me and make contact sheets. Okay. So I would go in the dark room and I would lock the door. Now that's a no-no right there. You can't lock the door to school, but I locked the door. And I developed the rolls of film, and I'm, squeegeeing them off, and then I cut them, and I laid them out on the enlarger, and I'm doing contact sheets, and they're all topless models. And I'm 17 years old. And it wasn't any cooler than that. But to me, it wasn't dirty. You know what I'm saying? It was artistic. These women weren't in lewd poses. I mean, I even recognized at 17, there's a difference between art and pornography. These were artistic shots because they had like props, like like hats and things and other things that were around them. It wasn't just like a blatant expose. They were designed to be artistic nudes and nothing below the waist, just above the waist. And but I'm going to tell you that if it ever came out, he would have went to jail. I mean, especially in the 21st century, they would have thrown the book at him. No matter what I said, I could have gone to court and testified. Seriously. But I'm going to tell you, as a young, budding photographer, I learned a lot about the real world and about the business and how it works. And later on, I mean, I went on to photograph women myself. I photographed them clothed and unclothed. And I took a lot of cues from him, above the waist, artistic, that kind of stuff. So, of course, I don't do that anymore, married man and so forth. But yeah, it was really interesting. So that's one of those things that could have been like, I've had some good teachers, Mike. I've hung around, I hung around rock stars when I was young, and I hung around these photographers that, were my dad. So I've got no degrees. As far as education goes, I'm probably the most uneducated and ignorant person that you can imagine, but I do have a lot of experience with things, but thanks, I appreciate it. But anyway, so that was something that was really interesting to me. But the photography course was good because it showed me how to frame subjects and so forth, and subtle things about. We would study like nowadays with music on YouTube. There's a lot of YouTube videos like what makes this song great, and they break the song down. Well, you can break a picture down like that too, with exposure and the framing and cropping and stuff. So. But that was pretty interesting. And I always thought that it was so cool that teacher trusted me so much that he gave me rolls of film that could have landed him in jail. And you know what? I never told anybody. I did I can't tell you how many rolls of film for him. I can't tell you if it was 10 or 100. I don't remember. And I did contact sheets for all of them. Every single shot he took of every model I saw. Every one. And I didn't make any private copies for myself or anything. It was all professional. So, exactly. Hey, Barb. How you doing? I'm going to give you a fist bump, too. Nice to have you with us. How are things, hey Barb, how are things in your part of the world? Yeah. So, it's a rare pleasure to have you with us. Thank you so much. You guys know Barb. She's been on Periscope since like forever. So please, click on her profile and follow her, okay? Daisy, how you doing? Yes, evening here. Thank you so much. So yeah, I mean, I never told anybody about that. I kind of had his, life in my hands, but oh, that's good. Excellent. Well, things were bad for quite a while. Now, I haven't talked about this tonight. I haven't done any COVID-19. Now, this is only about the U.S. Understand, though, you're in Niagara, which is close. But we can see now that there are more U.S. states that are in the green than have ever been before. But right now, still, Hawaii is the worst place in the world that you can be. But it looks like Arizona is pretty good. So, yeah. Yes, border of the USA is still closed. That is good. It is good. And Taiwan has taken a couple countries off the safe list. Unfortunately, Taiwan has recently taken Japan off the safe list. Now, there's some controversy here amongst Taiwanese because the U.S. big shot. It is. But I'm going to tell you, even Taiwan recognizes that could change in a moment. Yeah, we're not like, flaunting it and so forth. But yeah. Well, I suspect, right? I mean, that's on the coast, okay? Da Nang it's close to China, and it's probably due to smuggling, you know what I'm saying? Vietnam was doing well, and I'm going to say this, okay? And I'm not trying to be cruel, but I don't know if I trust their numbers. They're not Marxist-Leninist like China, but they are a communist country, and communist countries are more worried about face than reality, which is why Taiwan is very straightforward and transparent. But this big shot from America that's in Taiwan right now, he apparently did not have to go through the quarantine. So wouldn't it be ironic? As he met with President Tsai today, and wouldn't it be ironic if he brought the virus into the country and exposed the president and the cabinet and everybody else, and oh my goodness, and the commander of the Central Epidemic Command Center. I mean, come on. Now, for those of you who would like to join us in a live conversation, please feel free. Our Skype ID is Taiwan Live TV, one word just like it's spelled. We've got a really, really nice Bluetooth speaker here in a second device so everybody can hear. And we'd love to hear your comments about anything as long as it's not profane. If it's profane, I'm going to cut you off. Remember, folks, the First Amendment applies to the government, not to the private sector. That's a whole nother discussion. But we've had a really, really nice evening and talking about East Taiwan and so forth. And for those of you who have just joined, excuse me, to give you a little bit of a motivation to go back and look at the previous part of the show, I'm going to show you something. I actually have not, Barb. I haven't. I mean, we all know what's going on, right? And we all knew what was going to happen. And we all knew that there wasn't anything that you can do about it without involving the military and shooting and killing. And so, you know, our good friend John Ho, of course, you guys know, I met John several times here in Taiwan. He's out of there. And he, he's, no, we're not concerned for Taiwan at all. And I'll tell you why. John sold his property in Hong Kong, and it's a good idea. Hong Kong is lost. Unfortunately, it's just the way things went. The reason we're not concerned in Taiwan is simply this. If you look, there's an Indian news channel called WION, W-I-O-N. One of the best commentators, I know it is, one of the best commentators is Palki Sharma. She's an unbelievable straight shooter. She's actually banned in China. I found out from watching Gravitas, which is the name of the news report that she does, that China has border conflicts with 23 nations. 23. And that means, I mean, when you look at the border of China, it's vast. So what that means is the Indian front over here in the west is 4,000 kilometers from the Taiwan front in the east. The PLA is stretched to the limit. No, they don't border that many, but what they've done, Barb, is they've gone into the South China Sea and they're messing with, you know, Malaysia and Borneo and Philippines. They don't border the Philippines at all. That's what I'm saying, like Scarborough Shoals and Spratly Islands and those kinds of things, right? Those kinds of places that, you know, everybody knows who those places belong to. And there may be a little bit of a disagreement, but like for example, there's a disagreement with Taiwan and Japan over some of the islands, but they don't really care. They don't make it an issue. Okay, you can fish there. Okay, we can fish there. Okay, well, we're friends otherwise. It's just like a neighbor. You know what I mean? His tree is growing over your fence, and so you ask him politely, can I cut it down? Yeah, okay. And okay, so we're still friends, but it was kind of stupid that I had to do that. That's kind of how it works, but not with China. This wolf warrior diplomacy just doesn't work. It is a flashpoint, J-Boy, but it doesn't have to be. And one of the things that I'm really upset about journalists is they always frame things in light of China. They make so many talking points for the CCP, like Reuters especially, Ralph Jennings, whom I have met here in Taiwan. It's like, it starts out like this. In a move likely to anger Beijing, and then they talk about Taiwan. Who cares? It doesn't matter. Beijing chooses to be angry. It is a policy choice that they use to get other countries to self-censor. That's how it works. If you stop self-censoring, what people need to do is they need to see. China is the barking dog at the bus station. Just ignore it. It doesn't matter. They're not going to do anything. Their new J-20 stealth fighter doesn't have a gun on it. They're stupid. They're making mistakes that militaries made 55 and 60 years ago all over because they don't know what they're doing. The PLA is about ready to revolt against Xi because they recognize that he's isolating China. The PLA is comprised of nothing but rural little emperors. Remember the one-child policy? Yeah. All these are little pampered, spoiled brats. There are no professional soldiers in China. They do 2 years, they get out. So you take some guy who's been raising corn or wheat in the country. And you set them in front of a computer screen and you go, when the missile gets to here, push the button. Huh? What's that? These people don't own computers. The PLA is not a force to worry about. The Indians handed their head to them. That little border skirmish that they had at the line of actual control, what Palkey said in Gravitas, one of the things that the Indian soldiers, and I'm going to tell you something. My father was in India in World War II, and he brought back a Gurkha knife. My brother still has it to this day. My father told me so many stories of Indian bravery. Listen, the Prime Minister's name is Modi, not Wussy. It's Modi. You mess with the Indians, it's a big mistake. And one of the things that the Indian soldiers said was that surprised them the most about the PLA is that they screamed like little girls. The Indians marched on them. See, the PLA made a big mistake. They shot that military group's commanding officer. The commanding officer advanced because he wanted to talk. He wanted to de-escalate. But what the Chinese had done was they swapped the personnel out. So the Indian guys are looking over there and they're all new faces and they don't know him. So the commanding officer advanced because he wanted to make peace and de-escalate, and they shot him and killed him. Big mistake, because in Indian culture, the commanding officer is kind of like an uncle or a father. Well, the Indian soldiers went berserk, and the reports is that most of the PLA were not killed by bullets or bayonets. They were bludgeoned to death. Half of them had their necks broken, and a considerable number of them were unrecognizable because they were beaten in the face. This is what you get, and the PLA doesn't seem to understand this. See, they think that they can buy a Ukrainian 20-year-old aircraft carrier, redeploy it, and then make another new one that's like a quarter of the size of everybody else's. And we're going to go, ooh, ah, and they can have some guy in a suit and tie screaming at us in Mandarin, and we're just going to shut up and take it. No. India's tired of this. Everybody's tired of this. And the PLA is tired of it, because what's going on is Xi is committing the PLA to do stuff that the PLA doesn't want to do. Every time one of these idiot, I don't know if they're chewing Bing Long or they're on Shaoxing Wine, and they write some article about taking back Taiwan and stuff that the Qing dynasty lost 500 years ago. This is their whole thing. They want to go back in history and take away every piece of. This is like England saying, you know what, America belongs to us. You know, it's just that's what we're talking about. And so the PLA is saying, no, you're isolating the nation, and you're committing us to wars that don't need to be fought. They're telling. The last report that I read, and no, it won't work, in Weian, was that these hawkish generals told Xi that the primary responsibility of the Communist Party is to make life better for 1.4 billion people, and taking Taiwan back, now it's never been part of the PRC, doesn't accomplish that. No. Anyway, I know I'm talking a lot of politics. I'm politically neutral. It's just that I understand it. I understand it very well. I understand Taiwan politics too, with the KMT and the DPP. I just don't take sides. I just tell you what it is. But that's what a reporter is supposed to do. A reporter is supposed to not take sides. They're just supposed to tell you what the deal is, and you make your own decision. So the last report that I read on this particular topic is that the PLA is close to enacting basically a coup against the CCP because they're tired of the commitments that she is making and they don't want to do it. And when you take everything else into consideration, you know, the little emperor syndrome, and you guys know what I'm talking about. One of the biggest problems in China is the youth. There are boot camps for youth. The nouveau rich, the people that have only made, you know, their millions in the last 10 years, they went from poverty to a mansion. They have children that have never done any work at all. And they're problem children. Well, no kidding. So they send them to this boot camp and they make them do things like wash their clothes. And it's the first work that they've ever done in their life. And it's a big problem. Yes, it is. It is. And you know, occasionally we'll get a little bit of the Wu Mao, you know, that's the 50 cent, like the trolls that come in, and it's good because I can talk to them in Chinese. But I tell some of these people, listen, when you can sit here and you can say things like, you know, whether you're for it or against it doesn't matter. But when you can speak the words Tibetan independence, free Nepal, Kashmir doesn't belong to Pakistan, anything like this, and the police aren't coming, especially in Taiwan. I got a bottle of rum. I'm on the outside. I'm on the street here. There are no open container laws here. There's freedoms here that you just wouldn't imagine. But until you have that freedom, you can't really understand how oppressive the CCP is. With the social merit system, which I understand they're trying to implement in the United States, there are many people that simply tell the truth, but they're not allowed to travel. They can't buy a bus ticket to go to the next city. Yeah. Here in Taiwan, you guys have seen me in a live stream. Go to 7-Eleven, buy a beer, crack it open, drink it there, or whiskey. Remember, there's a famous, back when I first started Taiwan Live TV, the channel, back in 2016, I was at the day market in Hukou, and I bought a beer, and I took it outside, and I had it in my hand, and a gimbal in the other hand, and I waved to the cop with it in my hand, and just went like this. They don't care. But when I was in China, I was asking questions. I've been in China 4 times. Mostly 3 times I've been in the Black Dragon province, and the last time I was in Shenzhen at a factory owned by Taiwanese. And I was asking about the police, because I wanted to know. And the first question I got was, well, how come you want to know about the police? And so, in order to put them at ease, I just said, well, where I live in America, there are a lot of police, and they're always driving up and down the street, and they're always looking for you to do something wrong. And since I've been here, I haven't seen any police, and so I think there's a lot more freedom here. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah. So, yeah, they come around once, and they can come around once in a while, and this and that other thing. But I was in the Black Dragon province at a foundry that used to be owned by the federal government and was sold to the private sector. And I don't think there was a window in the whole factory that wasn't broken. And the only guy that had a car was the boss, who was a CCP, Communist Party member. So it's a strange place. Yeah, if you guys know who John Stossel is, he's one of America's most beloved journalists. Now, I want you guys to understand something, because I get accused of being anti-US and stuff. I'm not. But the truth is the truth. And when I go back to the United States, and since 2010, I went to visit my sister in 2010, right? For like, I don't know, 8 weeks. I've only been back. I went back in 2018 for 4 days. This many, 4 days. I'm always looking around. I'm looking around for cops because I know, the rental car that I have can have one little light bulb burnt out. Woo! Pull that thing over. License and registration. Okay. Give them my license and my international license. Now, U.S. police have been tipped off about fake international licenses. Mine is produced by the Ministry of Transportation in Taiwan, and I have a Taiwan residency card, and I have health insurance and all this stuff. But basically, what it is the law enforcement in the United States is, I'm going to put it politely, they're overzealous. And they do think that everybody is a criminal. So I don't relish the thought of having to spend or waste 20 minutes of my time explaining, no, I don't live here. No, I don't have a local address. And they want your social security number. But I'm 64 years old, and I got my social security number when I was 16, and on the card it said not to be used for identification. And so if I tell them that, then they'll ask me to step out of the car. And you know what that means. So I'm always, like this. In Taiwan, I know a lot of the cops here, and they come to my neighborhood, and I always say hi to them, and I always wave to them, and I can engage them in conversation. How you guys doing? What's going on? And it's a whole different thing. The cops sometimes drive by and I'm drinking. And I tell them, I yell at them in Chinese, hey, when you're off work, come back and have a drink. And they're like, okay, they don't, it's just being polite. Okay, we'll see you later, Now, I'm not saying that all police are bad, no. Because of course I have policemen friends in the United States. It's a different culture. And some of the cops that I know, we like to talk about radio, because I'm a ham radio operator and broadcast engineer, so they'll show me their walkie-talkies and stuff, and I might know a hack for it, things like that. It's all about the individual, but in general, in Taiwan, a cop stops you. There doesn't seem to be a preconceived notion. You know what I mean? Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's really cool. I've been a ham since 1988, so I qualify for the quarter century. So yeah, they are. And I'm sure the police would like to do a lot more to lock down people, in some respects. Now, it's funny because we're talking on some tough subjects. And here I am, I'm talking about freedom, and of course, I'm a big advocate for freedom. But sometimes you have to give that up for the greater good. And that sounds dangerous. I know it does, and I'm sure Alex Jones would be screaming at me right now. But in the case of a pandemic, you have to wear a mask, or you have to stay inside, or you have to not gather in large groups. And every time somebody does that, like the weddings, they had a wedding, and there were more guests than were allowed, and they all got COVID-19. So, and it must be frustrating for law enforcement because they know that if they can just keep people from congregating and keep them, in their house, then it'll die down. Yeah. No, it is tough. And they have been getting a bad rap. There's a couple bad ones, right? And it's like everything else. It takes, like they say, one rotten apple, right? And so everybody blows that out, and so all police are bad. That's ridiculous. Now, I was talking about just in general the concept of American freedom, because, for example, like the open container laws always bothered me. I mean, I'm sitting in the passenger seat of a car. Why can't I drink? Is the driver going to get drunk through osmosis? When I first came to Taiwan, I bought some beer at 7-Eleven. I took a taxi somewhere, and I sat in the back seat. And I asked the taxi driver in Chinese, can I drink in the back seat? Now, this is when I first came here, and I didn't know whether it was okay or not. And so he looked in the rearview mirror, and he said in Chinese, he said, it's none of my business what you do. Psst, drinking, right? Yeah. Well, I mean, I do understand that too, because the United States is a target. It's a big target, you know, for evil forces too. And I must admit that Taiwan is a little place. You know, if it wasn't for China, right? No, not at all. If it wasn't for China, Taiwan wouldn't even need a military. Nobody wants to take us over. I mean, even the Islamists threatened Taiwan. They made a threat on Taipei 101. They didn't do anything because it doesn't matter. Partially because there's not a very big indigenous Muslim population to try to rally. But yeah, no, I'm not anti anything, and I don't want anybody, to misunderstand me, because, for example, you guys have been following me for a long time. You know that I teach my daughter there are no races. There's only human, and that's how my family believes, and that's how we live. So, yes, it has been great. Thank you so much, Hoodoos. Fist bump to you. Say hi to your husband. I know he's been busy, so please say hi, and thank him for allowing me to occupy so much of your time. Yeah. And thanks for hanging around, Barb. Listen, if there's anything you want to add, I'd like to know a little bit more about what your area in Niagara, that's around the Buffalo and Toronto area. I'd like to know, a little bit more about what's going on. If you want to give us a call here on Taiwan Live TV on Skype too, we can just put you on. You can talk. But anybody, please feel free to talk. We've got our second device all lined up, ready to go. Yeah, actually, I want to get rid of that. I got a notification I don't want. So, yeah, this has been a fun show. I haven't actually been on doing a late night for well over a week because we were in East Taiwan. But let me just show you this. I want to show the video of the so-called whale watch that we went on. It was really a dolphin watch. Let me show you that right now, and that might motivate folks to go back and look at the beginning of the broadcast. Because I know if you're like me, and you see a broadcast that's 2 hours or 3 hours long on Periscope, you're like, oh, I don't want to watch it. But this is, we went to Elan, and this is the Elan area where we went on a boat. Hey Matthew, how you doing? Fist bump to you, bro. And so anyway, this is us looking at the dolphins. Here we go.
现在这边呢，代表着附近还有想要吃的食物，还有吃花枝啊、青鱼啊、环保青鱼啊，都拿出来看。来稍微带一下我们右手边那个船头有没有？哦，那一个船的船头有海豚在那边，有没有？它在领航机的感觉，有没有？哎，非常可爱。它的海豚呢，很喜欢在船头。哇！ 太厉害了哦 ！OK， 旋转击圈半哦，我们说这个哦，海上芭蕾舞者就是这种。 旋转几个半，
Yeah, I'm saying you should be quiet.
大家都
No wonder they're running away. They're yelling.
好，现在在我们的船头，哇，右手边游来游去，有没有？这两艘船的船头这边，哦，现在在这个龟山庄绕的水下，非常厉害，等一下会游过来，游来游去，两个船头这边走来走去，他很骄傲的，有没有看到？他很喜欢秀，喜欢就是说在船头这边让大家看他的表演。 非常的聪明。那这边海狗的它游的速度很快，它游的速度可以到
I got the impression that they were just there to play with the boat.
澳门船最快的话30公里，所以它速度比我们快。那不用担心什么状况，它因为它有很强的回音定位系统，很强的回音定位系统。好啦，现在就在我们的右手边，龟山朝日号。
Well, it's about as live as you can get.
那它的寿命约莫30岁，那它一天可以吃到10公斤的鱼所以渔民早期就喜欢它，喜欢把它屠宰来吃。那现在列为保育类的，应该家长会越多，因为吃一只要30万罚款非常贵，所以呢现在都不能再吃。OK， 那现在下线招待一下。
Yeah, Barb, I miss your humor.
那因为这香港呢，它是台湾三大渔场，多数是有两个养殖交配，那两个养殖的一个叫非常。
All right, there you go. So there was actually absolutely no internet connectivity whatsoever out in that area. That was the Pacific Ocean in the area of Taiwan called Yilan. It's spelled Yilan. If you care to look at it on Google Maps, that was near a place called Turtle Island. It's actually in the northeast, far northeast of Taiwan. And so that was, just blue Pacific water. It's fantastic. Earlier in the show, at the very, very beginning of tonight's broadcast, like the first 30 minutes, I showed a lot of different photos and some videos. So after we're finished, you can go back and look. And if you just, scroll through, yeah, it really is. If you scroll through like the first 30 minutes, then you've seen the whole thing. It's good. I wanted to get into it early on, so people wouldn't have to like scroll through. Okay, thanks. I just didn't want people to scroll through like 50 minutes of me yakking before they got to the good part. So now there's something else interesting that's going on that I do want to talk about. It's coming up in the future. A close friend of mine here in Taiwan, he actually is a U.S. citizen who has renounced the citizenship and become Taiwanese. He did it about 30 years ago. He is a researcher, and he has done something that nobody else in the world has done. It is actually astonishing. I met him over the weekend and had some more discussions with him. And whenever he's talking, I look like this. This guy knows stuff that nobody else in the world knows. I'm launching a new website for him. Now, there's nothing there yet, but it's going to be called Synchronologies, and it'll be a .com, synchronologies.com, because he has synchronized all the world's ancient chronologies. We're talking Egyptian, Assyrian, Hebrew, Babylonian, Macedonian, you name it, he has synchronized them all up. And so half the time, it really is, half the time I don't know what he's talking about. What's that place? What is it? Go Becky Techie? Is that you guys know what I'm talking about? I'm probably saying it wrong. Oh, I'm such an idiot. Anyway, of course he knows what it is. You know what I'm talking about, I think. Now, researchers found this site, and they have studied it, and they don't understand the steles and these obelisks that they're looking at. They know it's important, and they know there's a key to it, and there's a story that has to be told, and it's incredible. And some people are saying, oh, it's the beginning of civilization and all this stuff. My friend figured it out. Okay. My friend figured it out. He knows what it is. We're going to reveal it to the world, he told me, and I'm telling you, when this actually comes out, it's going to change everything. It's going to turn the world of archaeology and historicity upside down, because it's irrefutable. Now, he's able to verify it by matching it up with all those other chronologies. And he figured out that main obelisk that people are looking at. I'm not going to tell you the secret, because it won't make any difference. You'll have to read, the process. But it's all astronomical, but it's based on observation. See, what a lot of these researchers mistakenly do is true. And one thing's for sure, when the Egyptians showed up, the pyramids were already there. They said, wow, these are cool. Let's do something with them. They work on astronomical dates rather than observational dates. If you see what I'm saying. Like, certain dates are based on, like, for example, like an important city in history would be like Jerusalem. So when the new moon was visible in Jerusalem, for example, is a different time than the astronomical full moon at Jerusalem, if you see what I'm saying. If you see what I'm saying. So you have to base things on observations. And this, I'm going to say Gobekli Tepe, I'm not sure how to say it. I never actually heard anybody say it. I just read it. These are observations and not actual astronomical dates. And he removed a lot of the extraneous things, and he found a constellation, and he found the planet Mars and the planet Saturn. And then he realized it's a very specific date, and this very specific date has a profound meaning for humanity. Something that happened in the past. So you're going to have to wait. But I talked to him on Saturday, and it looks like in about another, I know. I mean, he was telling me this stuff, and I'm a lay person. I'm an audio guy, recording guy, and I like technical stuff. But he sends me these line messages, and it takes me 10 minutes to read them. They're this long. But, I mean, it's incredible. See, he's retired. This is his full-time avocation. He spends his whole time doing this research. And he went into, we talked about this, he went into it without any preconceived notions. That's the thing. You have to just unlock everything and say, okay, I don't know anything. What is this telling me? And what is this telling me? You understand what I'm saying? And then you can start seeing the connections because you're not saying, oh, that's impossible because. So, no, nobody says that's impossible. It's entirely possible. And then when you line up the chronologies, that's why we're calling it synchronologies. So I talked to him on Saturday, and it looks like we needed like another 6 to 8 weeks, about 2 months, and then we're going to put the site online. Of course, I will be you know, talking about it, but he's not on any social media. Nobody knows who he is. He's not famous at all. He's just a ordinary, very humble person. But I'm going to have to put him on social media, and I think he needs a YouTube channel. I want to encourage him to do some live streams, but what I want to do, one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to have him on with me, you know, remotely in my studio. We're going to do, excellent. We're going to do a live stream together, and I'll be able to interview him. Of course, I will have already a set of questions, of course, that I want to ask him, because I know what I want to bring out. So yeah, and we're going to do that. And so yeah, see, everybody loves this. I'm trying to tell him that if he can break it down into chunks that people can assimilate, they're going to love it. There's a YouTube channel, one of my favorite YouTube channels, The History Guy. You guys know him? History Guy. He's awesome. He's incredible. People who hate history will watch The History Guy because he makes it fun. And so the stuff that he's doing is so profound that it may be overwhelming. So we gotta make it into a, we gotta make it a little more fun. So that's what we're looking at doing. So anyway, it is 0041 hours here in Taiwan, which means it's 19 minutes until 1 a.m. So I'm going to sign off. Thank you so much for joining. It's been a pleasure. I really appreciate everybody sticking around so long and making this such a great interactive show. I really appreciate it. Nobody called in tonight, but that's okay. We got next time. Barb, thank you so much for joining. It's a rare privilege to have you with us. Thank you so much. Matthew, Dean, Coco, J-Boy, gosh, I'd have to scroll back. There's Ken Rod, so many friends have joined us tonight. So, and of course Hoodoo. So, well, thank you. I appreciate it. When I watch myself later, I'm going to tell you, I check my live streams, you know, for continuity stuff, and I say to myself, why the heck would anybody watch me? But I just say, oh, they must be bored. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Fist bump. And Dean, of course. Dean, thank you. You've been here the whole night, so I didn't mean to miss you. I always miss somebody. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. And we'll see you next time. And I'm sorry that I was gone so long, but of course I'll be back on Thursday again, and maybe sooner if I got something. I also have, of course, my studio Instagram. It's Phoenix Media Forge, one word, Phoenix Media Forge. I may do a live stream this week from the recording studio as I'm doing some tracks. I actually have some interesting mastering work to do later on, so I may do an Instagram, so you can check that out. Of course, we're also in Taiwan Live TV pretty much everywhere. Thanks so much, you guys. Take care. We're going to say it's Ijen, one on. Wherever you're from around the world, have a good afternoon and evening, morning, wherever it is. Thank you so much, Barb. Appreciate it. Take care. We're going to say 再见. Oh, 感谢你们看我的直播. Thank you so much for watching my live stream. Bye-bye now. Take care. That was fantastic. Thank you so much, everyone. That's a wrap.